Hello, everybody.
Oh,
Welcome
oh,
to episode 5 of Close Corners, the premier
oh,
music podcast. We're
oh,
back at it again.
oh,
As you can hear, Holden's on the track.
oh, oh,
I'm about to run it to you.
oh,
Just
oh.
another discussion. Whatever we're feeling. We do have a little inkling we want to start with, and that is the contemporary work, Cities Aviv, and their new project, African American Sound Recordings. I say new, not very new.
I want to talk more about African American sound recordings because it is an artist that I have been obsessed with for quite a second now.
Yeah, I can't say that I share the same level of obsession, but I definitely do appreciate the work while it's on. We did go see African American Sound Recordings live with James Ferraro, if our longtime listeners will remember that name. In New York, we went to go see them. That was a great show, but I can't say that I've kept up with African American Sound Recordings really past that.
Very fair. I find that the realm of which the music is being made is somewhere. Whoa! I was about to fall on my chair. Is definitely like, I don't know. I feel like it over time it will definitely become a lot more. I feel like it would definitely become a lot more appreciated over time. I find the music right now to especially just be really fantastic at what it's achieving. So those that are not familiar, African American Sound Recordings is this newish project by a rapper from Memphis, Tennessee, Cities Aviv, who's very much known for his blend of he's very kind of like lo-fi, nostalgic atmospheres combined with hip hop, a lot of sampling, sometimes taking influence from like vaporwave to like Jay Dilla, to just avant-garde jazz, and very, very eclectic musician, just really fantastic at what he does. But his more recent project, African American Sound Recordings, is something that I've been very, very obsessed with. I think African American Sound Recordings, especially as a name, really defines the overall world and sound that he's trying to make with this music. I kind of see it as like if you take the name African American Sound Recordings, you kind of take, the obviously like everything that has been built around like just like black music, but also treating such music and such sounds as like kind of like a field recording, like things that are like these things that are just found and then put together to make an otherwise new feeling, like something that's just like they are a lot of his music does deal with samples, and it's kind of this ranges from like some more like obscure things to even just like sampling like Pokemon like music and whatnot. Like I'm actually going to just a step through and around. I'm gonna quickly first talk about. I mean, he's been making music under the name since I think like 2019, but his break. I feel like the album that like first like gained like attention that like where people were starting to kind of be like, I wonder what's going on here, is his record Erasure Poetry, which I just love looking at this album cover. It's just these two dudes like standing back to back, like holding this like towel between them. It's such like a odd like pose, and like right behind them is like the cinder block wall with like it looks like the bodies obscure this like tree that with like a picnic blanket in front of it. And like that wall kind of like reminds me a bit of like when I would like walk down like the halls at like my elementary school, and there are these like this like the walls would be painted with like kids like playing like outside in like a park, or and it would stretch down like the whole hallway. Like it would be like a hallway along like mural of like people just like, you know, in like a park having fun doing whatever it was.
Right.
And but I just like I really like this this interesting like form of like this like photo, like just these like people standing here. And I'm gonna quickly actually read the description of this album, because I think it's really interesting to the soundscape. On the Bandcamp page, it says, I feel we often push forward the notions of humanity that highlight Black people or any people against the backdrop of carefully aestheticized settings that typically ride the cultural pastiche of triumphant awareness set to androgynous lighting and ornamental plant matter. The recordings on Erasure Poetry were arranged with consideration for the forgotten individuals among us, the street dwellers, the prisoners behind bars, those in rehab centers, and others who feel shuffled in the search for spiritual healing. This backdrop reveals prisons, industrial zones, suffocating cities, and isolating communities who have been bound by the spell of persistent power. Most of these recordings were conceived between 2015 to 2018. It's kind of like a otherwise like sad, you know, backing to this album.
I think definitely that's what sticks out to me though, is while it is a very interesting and like look into more like ambient and field recording stuff, which I'm not too familiar with. This is one of the first things I've listened to where I experienced that kind of sound. There's definitely a very strong social and cultural message that's being attempted to get across, and I think it is a very increasingly important one to address and consider. And I think it's one that's often not appreciated, you know, trying to remember people who people would rather leave behind. It's just that's just a consequence of the modern world, I guess. But when I listen to this album, when I listen to Erasure Poetry, I feel like a palpable sadness, a palpable, not disgust with the world, but almost a level of wishing I could do more. And I think that's the idea. That might be part of the messaging. But it
feels very, it feels bounced between a like all what I can really say is that the soundscapes that like exist on this are just it's not like even like there's like a specific sound. There's a very specific, like a very super specific feeling that I get when I listen to this record. That like it feels like it does feel very familiar to one sense. But like also it's just like really like it bounces between some really calming like places to just being straight up recordings of what I actually believe to be just like waves. I think it's like the ocean. It sounds like the ocean to me. And sometimes just like really eerie selects on this. I think it's the song. It's the song "None More Black," I believe.
Hmm.
Or no. Which one is it? Is it? I think
Um,
it. I think it is "None More Black." It's like six minutes long. It's
mhm.
a pretty long one, but it's just like
Oh, the closing
um
track?
no. It's I wish I could listen to these tracks right now so
Right.
I can say specifically which one.
Hmm.
Um, but it's just like this really eerie, dark like ambience, and it just lasts and it just sounds like a. It kind of sounds like a helicopter, like winging back and forth,
Hmm.
and sometimes like a sound comes through like in this like eerie like soundscape of just like what sounds like you just like very kind of like pretty quiet noise, but like otherwise like ominous
Hmm.
noise. There's just like a digital like stock hi hat that comes in, and it feels very barren and like and like a uh, like yeah, just very barren. And I think also like um this a lot of African American sound recordings music rides along like having like using a lot of these otherwise stock like nostalgia-esque sounds to create an atmosphere, whether that is something that is comforting or that is something that's eerie.
Hmm.
A lot of the selects like especially like the three track run of like Taboo, Carriage House, and Bendable
Hmm.
are like especially a lot more like um calmer ambient tracks that feel otherwise sometimes like the first track Carriage House feels very serene,
Hmm.
um and like loops on this like one like sample, unless it was an already made sample. uh Carriage House is just like this it sounds like a direct audio guitar loop with like all these sparkles and ambience around it.
Hmm.
Bendable is feels like a it feels almost very like ambient techno, like the it's just like you hear like the low end of like everything, and it's just like I don't know, the soundscape of this record is fantastic. It definitely draws a lot from it almost feels kind of like it doesn't sound like industrial music, but
Right.
it feels a lot like how a lot of that music would like it does remind me a little bit of like 20 jazz funk greats um by Throbbing Gristle.
Hmm.
um and I would go to say if there's like a record that I just like love dearly, it's this one.
Right.
um and I definitely recommend everyone to listen to this. I think it's not going to be a record for everyone, that's
Hmm.
for sure. Um, but I can't deny that this record doesn't make an effect. I'm gonna move on to I think what would be the more approachable record for people that want to get into African American sound recordings music, and
Hmm.
I would I think like definitely like every record that they've made I feel like is really worth checking out. But Tamika's Lodge
Hmm.
um
Yeah.
is an instrumental hip hop new jazz record that is just like I don't know, it's the atmospheres are fantastic and crazy. Like
Hmm.
I think the way that like they construct like these sounds are like like using like the intro is like I think like the like a Star Trek sample,
Hmm.
um like from like the old TV series. I remember one song is like the I think like the theme song for like or the like lake theme from like Pokemon. Um and it's just like a lot of these sounds that feel very much inspired by like like Jay Dilla, and like also like combining like these ambient atmospheres over like these hip hop instrumentals. You like,
Yeah,
I
you
feel
could
like you
definitely,
could,
yeah, like a Jay Dilla kind of just instrumental hip hop feel, but then there's also
yeah,
a lot of abstraction going on at the same time to create something completely of its own. It's very cool.
yeah, you can kind of see some like almost like even like you can take a little bit inspo from like Boards of Canada in like creating these very like dizzying atmospheres, which I a lot of the sound that I'm realizing is very much characterized by the use of like taking these songs and like splitting up like there's been new technologies
Hmm.
to like it's like stem splicing, which is like you take a track and like the the said technology can just like completely take like the acapella from the track, or
Oh
it
yeah,
can
I've seen that.
completely the instrumental or the um or like the or like the percussion, you know.
Hmm.
um and it like it has its flaws as it is right now because it's not like absolutely perfect, right?
Right.
But the flaws of it is what gives it kind of that like audio, it's what gives it that quality that just kind of like over time, like, you know, these things that we find so futuristic, um being being otherwise you know, kind of old to their time. Like we're going to hear it and it's like, ah, this is like, you know, you can hear like the audio crackling
Hmm.
in all of this, and it's kind of it's a really endearing. Tamika's Relage is a really endearing record.
Hmm.
I want to say that was definitely like my favorite for uh 2022. Um, and I just if anyone like really like wants like a just like to be in like a trance of like a record, and like also just like a great intro to their music, really recommend this one. Like just like perfect down tempo music, really. I feel like
True.
that's the best way to describe it.
I'm
And
definitely a
this is
fan.
also it's also a concept album. The concept here is Tamika's Lodge is an interstellar bed and breakfast situated off exit 9 of the Zion Causeway between Venus and Jupiter, with origins in Red Banks, Mississippi. The lodge relocated to deep space in 2002 to escape the ongoing gentrification of the spirit and mind taking place down on Earth. So a lot of also very much a lot of space themes.
Hmm.
Very very like it does feel very futuristic. You just are going through so many different like places, states of mind. It's very awesome, like just a very awesome crafting of the project.
For sure.
Um, Now I really, really, really do, and this might be there were two more albums that came out in 2023 that are also worth talking about.
Hmm.
But for the sake of time, I'm gonna talk about this is gonna be the last one I talk about. But this is my I personally find to be the magnum opus of African American sound recordings, and it's his record "Free Flower," which came out last year, 2023. Um, this was when Tyler and I saw African American sound recordings. It was Tyler's first time, but it was my second time.
Right.
This record was this was the sound material that kind of went into the set that was being played. Um, because I think like a week later after that set, this record came out. And this music is just like I feel like the perfect like 4 a like perfect music for like 4 a.m. Um, I find the sounds to be very similar to that of Replica by One and Tricks Point Never.
Right.
Very much in the way that um, like it's like kind of like using samples and creating this very ambient atmosphere. Sometimes samples are kind of like turned into these kind of abstract rhythms. Very like like abstract like atmospheres.
Hmm.
The album cover here is seems to be like, I imagine like a photo that like um like he took,
Right.
or someone took, they recovered, where it's kind of looks like part of it is just like lost and obscured. It's like half of like a memory.
Hmm.
At the top of it, of the album cover, it says, "In my mind, I break free from the chains of today," and
Hmm.
Free Flower. Um, Definitely just a very beautifully spiritual record. Like it feels very floral,
Right.
like um, just like going between like states of like sprouting like a flower to just like watching like sound be like a transit in like a space. um like I think like an awesome, like one of the best cuts on here would have to be the song Aim, which every time I listen to it I just feel like like I'm like watching like PBS or some shit like that, like start up in front of me.
I get that.
Zoo York is like uh especially actually wait. Met with Fire is a very awesome cut.
Hmm.
Just this very grounded, like like delaying like sound of like, I feel just like some sort of sound scuffing, and then like this like looping violin comes in, and it's so serene and beautiful. Zoo York is tends to feel kind of more of feel a little bit more like wondrous, a little bit more mysterious, and
Hmm.
then this like kind of drum loop comes in and out, like it plays for a second and then the delay takes over and it comes back in. um uh I think the song that is like an absolute like monster on this record is the song Champagne Misery Cycles,
Hmm.
which is like that is like the I feel like that is like one of like the penultimate parts of like the album, because it's like I don't know, like almost like I think it's like 10 minutes or so long,
Yeah.
and it's just like some of the dreamiest like sparkling like atmospheres I've ever heard in music.
Hmm.
And it's like collaged um with city, like it sounds like city bus recordings,
Hmm.
and like sometimes like walkie talkie recordings. um and it just feels like dazing off to like sleep, and then uh like this like saxophone comes in and like just like hops into this track, and it's fucking wild. It's fucking wild. um
Hmm.
two more ones that I have to think about um is the song our I think it was like it's called Our Loneliness May Evaporate. It's revealing the
The
masses. Oh
masses.
yeah,
Yeah.
Our Loneliness May Evaporate the Masses. Which
Hmm.
every time I listen to it, it feels like a fucking like it feels kind of like the PlayStation menu, just like exploding right in front of you. Um, and then I can't like not talk about this album without talking about the last track, which is one of the most like profound compositions of music I've heard. So like this song Sebastian Blue takes like this it takes the sample. I don't know. I'm not sure what the sample is, but it's it's something jazzy. It's like use mostly like piano,
Hmm.
and um, it's just a completely different track by like it's almost like he's like playing the music on like a like as samples, whether like on like a keyboard, and like the samples are slowed down, or it's a um slowed down or pitched up. Almost it almost kind of feels like it could be very similar to like a lot of Broken Transmission or like
Hmm.
Echo Jam's kind of things, but it's quite a remarkable ending to this album. Almost like so like oh it just like it makes me want to tear up sometimes.
Hmm.
Every time I listen to it, but like just a I've never heard a composition like it, like just like audio pieced together like that to like like almost take like one piano composition and rid of his original feeling and sound, and like it's just clips like put together, like chopped together, like,
Hmm.
and it's fantastic. I really adore this album, and um definitely went down to be my favorite album of 2023. um
Certainly, certainly.
I think to just wrap this overall, like um African American sound recordings just has like a profound ability of using like really using their like um their music making capabilities of basically just like computer, laptop based music, and also just like field recordings to like make something like lost feel found, but that thing that's found is otherwise still like kind of obscured. It's kind of like things kind of are pulled out of a a bed of memories, and they're there for a second. You kind of can realize them for a second, and they
Hmm.
fade away, and it feels very ever so fleeting. And I think there's just a lot of beauty that ties into this music, and I really see African American sound recordings as a project which, even to our last episode, definitely finds a lot of inspiration from um, artists like Hype Williams in
Hmm.
like the aesthetic, and a lot of the music around that time as a source of inspiration. Um, like I find that African American sound recordings is just a very profound like new way about like approaching music, approaching sound, and how sound relates to each other to otherwise create like this like just bizarre like world. It's quite it's really fantastic.
Right.
I really find that like this is music that will sooner or later define music that will come after it for sure.
Sure. For sure. Well, that was a very beautiful write-up of everything. I really appreciated your perspective and listening to all that. And I feel very inspired to check all this out now because, it's just it caught my attention. But it didn't hold it so well. But I think just the way you were talking, and I was while you were talking about it, pulling up the songs you were talking about and listening to little snippets. These are definitely projects I need to give a shot and listen to all the way through because I feel like on the other end, I would feel just as enthusiastic about them as you did.
No, yeah, I absolutely recommend. Um, I just can't but feel like recommend checking them out.
Hmm.
And like I think this the thing is that this is one of those projects that like at first, and I think even to wrap this to the end,
Hmm.
for the end of this podcast, um, it's one of those projects that you start off and you're like, I don't even know where to begin to like think about this, to feel
Right.
about this. And I find that a lot of the artists that stick with me forever, the longest, that I just think that really have the biggest impact for me is like the things that really that kind of like confuse me at first. It's almost
Right.
off-putting.
Hmm.
Like it's kind of like, what is this? Like I don't even know what I can like touch, like relate this to in any other case. And then over time, I like when these sounds became familiar, it just felt like they were meant to like exist together in a way.
Right.
Like it feels like, oh, this makes sense. Like I'm so like accustomed to hearing this now. Like this just makes sense, and like this atmosphere, like it's there. And like I think over time as I grew, because like erasure poetry was definitely not like, that was definitely something I didn't like entirely all feel. I was very much curious, but like I did not I did not feel about it before as I do about it now.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Tamika's Lodge made that like world and sound like open up a lot more. Free Flower was, I feel like, the moment where I was like, oh, I'm starting to get what this dude's doing, and that everything before it makes a lot more sense. Like I think over time, as he's released more projects, there's just been more and more context. So to what it is that he's creating. And I would also go to say that, you know, despite the descriptions of, you know, that is given about these records, I think the talk about this music is still kind of obscured, because there's not a lot that, you know, I feel like a lot of people know. One, like I don't think a lot of people really know about this project. But two, I feel like there's just a lot. There's a lot of. I feel like there is a lot of questions to ask, and I don't even think there's been a lot that's been talked about media wise about African American sound recordings. But I think I don't know if it seemed that he released like, you know, 3 albums this past year. Free Flower, The Private World of Correspondence, also fantastic, and Share Spirit, which is like his biggest, like just like, oh my god, like just like this what a mammoth of work. Just like it almost felt like after the Share Spirit came out, it was like almost felt like the end of like a chapter. And I think what's to come for African American sound recordings is, you know, we'll see. I'm very curious of what happens, or if this may be the end of it. But I personally feel that, yeah. I think that's something that will just be revealed with time. But yeah, that's all.
It's cool to say. Yeah, you know, and I'm gonna be getting the legwork in, listening to these albums, and I hope to join you at a similar level of appreciation for this work, because it definitely seems worth it. I think that's just something very exciting about following a musician. You know, I've done it a lot with my SoundCloud experience, finding someone small and watching them build upon their work and getting a clear idea of their vision and seeing it projected to more people. It's always a great feeling to be able to appreciate an artist's journey like that, but as well as in the just the excitement for what might come next, or not knowing if anything's going to come at all. I think a lot of what we've talked about on the show so far is very grounded in its time, and I think that African American sound recordings is really a great place if you want to hop into something that's building and snowballing and becoming something worth listening, or already is something worth listening to, obviously, but just like growing. It's a great place it's a great artist to get into if you're looking to follow an artist's journey.
Absolutely. I think that's what otherwise to allow us to say make the experience of listening to African American sound recording so great, is that like I feel like as artists like evolve, you kind of see them around their like the beginnings of what they're doing, and you're just curious what's happening, where's it going, and it's kind of like you just feel like you're part of like something like beautiful in the making, like something. It's like it's not done, but you're seeing it evolve, and it's just awesome, like being led through that. So I'm really curious to see what more comes out of African American sound recordings. I'm especially really curious of the music coming out on his label Audio Arts, which I think he's been very much focused on getting out releasing people's music that is very close to just like whatever he's doing, or anything that's doing good. I would actually coming up soon, I think he's his release. There's an artist on his label named Triple Promise that I think if you have found interest in, if anyone here has I guess compelled now to find interest in the works of African American sound recordings, I feel like Triple Promise is also someone worth checking out. But a lot more, I feel like a lot more rhythmic. Not that AASR isn't rhythmic, but I think there's a lot more. It's less sitting in just like ambience, but also I think Triple Promise only has an EP out, and soon enough we'll have a whole album out too. So really definitely that'll definitely be worth an eye out. But yeah,
definitely. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. Holden, really appreciate you coming in as always and giving us your perspective and giving us something new to check out. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for letting me yap.
Somebody's got to do it, man.
I feel like I could have gone on so much more longer about African American sound recordings, but I hope if people find this fossil artifact on this in this cave of an internet, then
our little grotto.
Then I hope people are compelled to check out this artist because he is fantastic. I would have to agree. I do very much admire his music.
Okay, well, that wraps it. So thanks everybody for listening. As always, we'll be coming back around some new episodes down the pipe. Potential guest spot. Get excited for that. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say too much. Working on a guest. Might be a guest. You'll have to see. Make sure to tune back in.
We want a guest. We want another dude on here.
Yeah, we need another dude. Okay. Well, bye everybody.
Bye. See ya. Bye.
Bye everybody. Oh.